Oh, hey guys, today we're going to do a disassembly to remove, or you can actually upgrade the M.2 SSD for this model here. So the exact model for this one here is the HP Pavilion X360, and if you just follow my cursor, that's probably the best way to do it. So it's the HP Pavilion X360 model 15-ER 0008C8. This is pretty straightforward disassembly too, so it's very easy. So you don't really need any pry tools, to be honest with you. Your fingernails will be perfectly fine in a star screwdriver. So going back to the beginning here, just make sure that you keep your laptop closed to start off, and just make sure that the screen side is facing down on the table wherever you're working at. And if you take a quick look at this here, there's no exterior screws that's actually visible. So the only screws that are actually that you have to remove is actually they're located underneath these the rubber tabs here. So what I would recommend doing if you don't want to damage your rubber tabs or mess up the double-sided tape that's actually located underneath this rubber tab, all you got to do is make sure you get a nice sharp, like like a paring knife or a metal pick or something. And what you have to do is just, if you go to this corner here, just use this as a reference. So this top right hand corner, this is a blown up picture here for this corner here. So as you can see, I actually have this little metal pick tool that I'm able to just slip underneath slightly, that actually, and make sure that when you're peeling it off or picking it off, just make sure that you also have the double-sided tape underneath the rubber tab, so that it both gets removed at the same time. Because the last thing you want to do is end up prying the rubber tab off, and then you have the double-sided tape that's still stuck underneath it. And then when you have to remove that, it's going to be a real pain in the butt, and you'll have to use new ones unless you have new double-sided tape. But for this one here, since it's a pretty new model, you should be able to reuse what you're removing. So remember, just use a little a paring knife or a pick tool, and just remove, make sure that the double-sided tape is attached to the rubber tab, and then just remove it from right to left. And if you look at this picture here, you got two of them. There's one here and then there's one there. So just remove them both carefully and just take your time. You don't need to rush it, because the double-sided tape will actually stick, and it sticks pretty well to the rubber tab. You just got to make sure that when you're picking it from these corners here, that the double-sided tape is actually still attached to the rubber backing. So just remember that. And then you can see here, this is the new picture. Once I removed the rubber tab and the double-sided tape, I literally just placed it down right beside where the screws are located. Because the good thing with this model here, because you won't need no pry tool just to remove the bottom casing. I literally just used my thumbnail and just ran it through, like two, three corners, and boom, it just popped up, because the bottom casing itself is very, very thin, the aluminum. So it doesn't hold itself in there very well, which is, it's kind of good for disassembly. It doesn't need to be super strong, anyways, because I've seen some laptops where they're super super thick, and it's very hard to remove them, and you do have to use pry tools. But this one here, I can assure you don't need any pry tools. So if you look at it here carefully, you'll see three screws up on top and four screws on the bottom. And screw placements, you don't need to worry, because all of the screws are exactly the same length and the same diameter. So you just place them all in one safe area, so you're not going to lose them. And then and don't worry about the mix them up, because they're all the same size and same length screws. So once you remove the screws, as you can see here, this is the top left hand corner. So open your laptop up just a little bit, like about maybe 45, 50 degrees. And literally, if you when you look at it here, I literally just put my thumbnail to push down a little bit, and about 3 millimeters of it just opened up. So, and that's how easy it is. And here, I'll show you a different angle here. And this is what I did. I just literally ran my fingernails down here, and then it was that easy. Then by the time I actually have this corner here, the front left and the center part opened up, I literally just popped it open. I closed the laptop back down, as you can see here. Then I just put my finger underneath and just popped the tray off, the bottom casing off. And then once you've done that, just place the rubber back, the rubber casing, the bottom casing somewhere else safe. And then this is what it looks like underneath. And if you look at it carefully here, your M.2 2280 series SSD is located in this section here. This is where it's located. And as you can see, that there's this little, it looks like a heat shield or something, or just a piece of tape to keep it, because yeah, it's actually like a tape, because underneath here there's a heat shield also that's actually covering the M.2, the 2280 SSD. So all you have to do is just put your finger in one of these corners, just peel that off, and then it should look like that. Yeah, so you just peel that off there. Sorry, and then this is another illustration to show you just to take off the little tape there. Once you take off the tape, there's a screw at the top of where the SSD is located. Just remove that screw, and once you remove that, you can just literally just lift up the heat shield plate that's covering the SSD. Once you remove that, you don't need to remove it completely. Just flip it to your left side, from right to left, and then it should be able to just it'll stay seated down. So don't worry about that part. And then once you have it placed here, as you can see, and the screws removed that's holding down your M.2 SSD, all you have to do is just lift it up a little bit with your fingernail, and then and just pull that out. And that's all you got to do. So once you've done that, it's pretty simple, because in this situation here, my customer actually had a really, really bad accident with the liquid damage, and it just fried the system. And all she wanted just was the data. So what I did after this was that I took the hard drive, and I'll provide the enclosure for you guys if you guys need to buy from Amazon, and if you guys need to read it, because that's all she cared about was to getting the data off it. And when I plugged it into my system, the hard drive does read, and there's nothing wrong with the hard drive. It's just the old thing is she actually had it locked with BitLocker, so encrypted with BitLocker. So I told her that just to make sure that she logs in through the Microsoft, and gets it done through there, and gets the code to unlock the drive so that she can see the files from there. And then and that's pretty straightforward. And the other suggestion I would recommend, that if you guys do want to unplug the battery before you remove this hard drive, which you really don't have to be honest with you, but for some people that really want to be super cautious, and that they do want to remove the or unplug the battery from the power board, then and I'll show you how to do it here too, just in case you guys want to do it. I didn't do it. I'm just doing this for illustrations, so in case if you guys want to do it yourself here. So if you look at it here, the battery situated is right here. It's right here. So the main plug that's actually plugged into it is right here. And as you can see here, so what I'll do is I'll go back to it here. This is a closer look. And then if you look at it here on the top corner and at the bottom here, all you have to do is just put your fingernail in, and just literally just lift it and wiggle it to the right side. Same thing as at the bottom here, wiggle it to the right. And if you look at this picture here, I'm using my thumbnail again just to wiggle it out. And you got to do the same thing with the bottom side here. So once you've done that, as you can see, you can just wiggle it out with your hand, and it'll come off that easy. So there you go. So I mean, if you guys do want to do that before remove your or touch your SSD, you can do that. But I didn't do it. You don't have to. I've been doing this for 24 years. That the odds that the chances of you damaging a hard drive or stick of RAM without having to remove the battery is just very, very slim. It's not too often it happens. So I mean, if you guys have any questions, anyways, just or comments, just write them down in the comments. And like the video. Please subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good day.